Welcome back to the M-SABR 2022 previews. Today's episode is NL Central, my favorite division. Everyone in this calls favorite division except Hayden, but he'll adopt it for this episode. Here's who I'm with today.
I'm Nolan.
Alias, big Cubs fan.
I'm Hayden, big Tigers fan, big AL Central guy.
All right, let's get right into it. Here's the Brewers. All right, first team we're going to be looking at today is the Brewers. And as you can see, their starting lineup is Colton Wong, Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich, Andrew McCutchen, Willie Adames, Rowdy Tellez, Hunter Renfroe, Omar Narvaez, and Jace Peterson. And what did they do this offseason to result in that lineup? Well, they lost Jackie Bradley Jr., Eduardo Escobar, Avisail Garcia, Manny Pena, Hunter Strickland, Luke Maile, and Daniel Vogelbach. Picked up Mike Brasso, Hunter Renfroe, Pedro Severino, and Andrew McCutchen. So it's arguable whether they got better, but Hunter Renfroe is definitely a big bat. McCutchen crushes lefties. Brasso, he's been good for the Rays. So like they did what they needed to do to address the changes to the roster. What do you guys think?
Definitely. I think I'm not sure they got a ton better, but they definitely did enough to bring in guys to fully replace everyone they lost, which is really all they needed to do because this was a really strong team even before that with the rotation they have with Woodruff and Burns and Freddie Peralta at the front end of that. And if they can just get Christian Yelich anywhere back to the old Christian Yelich, then this team is real dangerous looking to compete for the World Series.
Yeah, I really love how the rotation is top heavy, but when your top is your best three pitchers, it's kind of the kind of top heavy you'll take. Great bullpen with Hader and Williams in the back, and then in the lineup there's just so many fun guys. Lorenzo Cain, such a great defensive player. Same with Colton Wong. Willie Adames was a great trade. I loved him in Tampa, and I love him even more in Milwaukee. And, guys like Renfroe and Tellez, guys that can provide that excess value. So if this rotation does what it's supposed to do, this lineup is definitely good enough for them to be easy NL Central favorites.
Yeah, I agree with what Ilias said. I think most of the success from the Brewers is coming from that top three in the starting pitching staff of Peralta, Woodruff, and Burns. I think they're all going to be just as successful as last year. And even like guys like Adrian Hauser and Eric Lauer, really overshadowed by their big three there. I think if you put those guys on a team like the Diamondbacks, the Orioles, they'd be the two or three guys on that staff. And I think they're really strong all the way through this pitching rotation. And yeah, with Christian Yelich, if you can get him anywhere back, then this team's going to be really dangerous. And I like some of the really, like, they didn't make any big splashes, but some of the quiet pickups like Andrew McCutchen, bringing in that veteran presence, I think that's going to be really effective. And even guys like Mike Brasso, nice utility guy from the Rays.
No doubt. You guys mentioned it, but like starting rotation, probably the best in baseball. There's maybe some arguments, but I haven't heard any. Like this is going to be one of my last team previews. I think the Dodgers are really the only team who might even contend for that, but bullpen just as strong as usual. Boxberger, Hader, Williams. When there's a Brewer on the mound, you're in trouble as a hitter. And then injured list, Luis Urias. Maybe not a huge name, but he'll come back. He'll help him out. Just a scary roster. Anything else you guys want to say about the Brewers?
Not right now. Definitely the favorites to win this division.
Oh yeah, that's what we needed. All right, let's go on to the team that is not the favorite, the Cardinals. And we are back with the Cardinals. So, looking at the starting lineup: Tommy Edman, Paul Goldschmidt, Tyler O'Neill, Nolan Arenado, Dylan Carlson, Yadier Molina, Corey Dickerson, Paul DeYoung, and Harrison Bader. What did they do this offseason? Not too much. They lose Luis Garcia, Kwang Yun Kim, Matt Carpenter, and Andrew Miller. pick up Corey Dickerson, Drew Verhagen, and Steven Matz.
And Albert Pujols.
Oh yeah, why did I not write that down? Very important pickup, Albert Pujols. And then returning from injury, we have Miles Michaelis and Dakota Hudson, who I'm high on, along with Jordan Hicks. And so those guys should help out the roster overall. What do you guys have to say about the Cardinals before I go on my rant here?
Yeah, you love to see all the big moves that went out and made this offseason. A lot of big name guys, right? Steven Matz. Steven Matz. Steven Matz, I do think is a good pickup for them. I think is a little bit more of a pitch to contact guy. I do think he'll be good in St. Louis, and then bring him back Albert Pujols for one last ride with Yadi and Waino. That'll be fun to keep track of throughout the season.
Yeah, I really like the lineup. I mean, the 2, 3, and 4 guys, Goldschmidt, O'Neill, and Arenado. I think those are a great 2, 3, and 4. Even given Arenado's sort of tailing off last year. Dylan Carlson's not a bad outfielder either. And even though Yadi Molina does have a lower career B-WAR than Jason Kendall, he is a terrific catcher and provides a lot of value. I can't wait for Edmundo Sosa when he starts getting the everyday reps at shortstop. He's going to be a fun guy to watch. And then Harrison Bader just flies everywhere. Such a great defensive player and such a great offensive base runner. I think the lineup is definitely the strength of the team.
All right.
This Cardinals team as like a bubble playoff team, I'm kind of disappointed in their offseason moves. Obviously, like they got Steven Matz, but that's not much like overall. And they really counted on the in-house talent here for guys like Hudson, Michaelis, and like even like Dylan Carlson to make a big impact this year and take that big leap. Hopefully, like a couple of those guys turn out well. But they're lucky that the Brewers didn't get too much scarier, but some teams like the Cubs did. So it's going to be interesting to follow this team through the end up. I like the addition of Albert, though. It's going to be nice for the young guys.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Albert come in, be the left-handed DH, kind of help out the hitters. Like, if there's anyone who's going to fix Paul DeJong, like, who hit righties better than Albert Pujols? Like, that'll be the guy. So, DeJong, kind of our guy against righties. I assume we're going to try to platoon Sosa against lefties just because I really want his bat in the lineup. I really don't know how long DeJong is going to last in the lineup at all. From there, we go to the pitching. I'm super high on Hudson, super high on Michaelis when they're healthy. Hudson more so. So if they can be good starters, I believe in the team. And then also we haven't even mentioned Jack Flaherty. When he comes back, he is still an ace-level pitcher. Wainwright's kind of been given the mantle in his final year, but obviously going forward it's going to be Jack. And so if he doesn't figure out his health, we're in a lot of trouble. If he does, I think we're contending for the division.
Yeah, definitely. The goal for this team is just to stay good enough that when Flaherty comes back and you have a much more solid rotation, you can improve your record.
Exactly what I was going to say. They just got to stay close enough till they get Flaherty back and then hope that he can come back and be an ace for him for the rest of the season. And then I am also excited to hopefully see some of the young talent come up at some point this year, like Nolan Gorman for the Cardinals.
We didn't mention Liberator and Gorman. Hopefully they both get minutes this year. And then, of course, Lars Nootbaar, absolute legend, the defensive legend. Like already, like he robbed the Mets, knocked him out of the playoffs on his own. Absolute goat. And he really is a good hitter and a good positive defender. So off the bench, I'm actually very happy to have him. But like all jokes aside, all names aside as well. But let's move on to the team that you guys really want to talk about.
The best team in the NL Central.
Alrighty then, the Cubs. All right, the next team we're going to be looking at, as these guys are super excited about, is the Cubs. Well, I guess they're not as excited as usual, but what did they do this offseason? Obviously, they sold last deadline, but with all that cap space that they got last deadline, They signed Michael Givens, Jonathan Villar, Drew Smiley, Angelton Simmons, Chris Martin, Seiya Suzuki, Jan Gomes, and Marcus Stroman. So, pretty exciting offseason. They do lose Chirinos, but they signed a whole lot of people. And that'll at least make them competitive and fun to watch this season. So, what do you guys have to say about your favorite team?
Yeah, I honestly think it's about as good of an off season as we could have asked for without dishing out 300 million to one of the big name players that was out there. We got a couple guys on some smaller, still nice deals. I like the Seiya Suzuki deal and the Marcus Stroman deal. And I agree with you. It'll definitely make this team more fun to watch than they otherwise would have been. But out of anything, I'm mostly just excited to see how all these young guys will do in full-time roles. Nico Horner and Nick Madrigal in the middle infield. I think they should be exciting to watch, and maybe a little bit of an Ian Happ bounce back here after a strong finish in the second half last season.
Yeah, Happ was a really weird guy. I think he had something like a 600 OPS through like the first until like August, and then he had a 1 dot the rest of the way. So hopefully
Crazy.
More consistent throughout that. They have a trio of old veteran guys that blossomed last year in the lineup in Ortega, Schwindel, and Wisdom. I like Schwindel the most out of the three of them because I think his batted ball statistics last year were pretty good, and the other two just seem like really bad regression candidates. Suzuki adds to a hopefully good, fun future Cubs outfield with, Brendan Davis hopefully coming up sometime this year. Contreras, I love him. I hope he stays. Odds are he won't, but he's definitely a guy who can be the lone all-star on this team since we need at least one. And then in the rotation, Hendricks has been one of the top pitchers of baseball for a while. Had a bad year last year. Hopefully he can recoup that. And then I know Alzolay is out for the first few months of the season with a lat problem, but if he can figure out his issues against lefties, he'll definitely be another good young fun arm to watch along with Justin Steele.
Yeah, these Cubs fans here, they wrapped up pretty nicely. But from my perspective, this team's like kind of in a position to either buy or sell at the deadline this year, depending on how they do. But I'm excited to watch those young guys coming up. Potentially Brendan Davis and Nick Madrigal is going to be really fun. Even like Jonathan Villar as a backup. I've always really liked that guy. I like the move in Drew Smiley to round out the rotation. The rotation's looking pretty nice this year. Solid top three in Hendricks, Stroman, and Miley. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Like, really, it's just gonna be a fun team to watch. We'll see which direction they go.
For sure. One thing that, like, obviously I'm not predicting this, but you know how we thought about the Giants last year?
Whoa.
Don't go that far.
These guys are all, they're all 29.
You gotta
Everyone's
slow your roll
saying,
a little bit.
no, I know. They lost a lot of games in the second half. Like, it's not like it was great, but with all these like 29-year-olds, if everything goes right, they could be buyers. They could try to actually at least contend for the division. Like, I think they could be scarier than most people think, because it's like, Seiya Suzuki could break out. You could get Ian Happ at like his full strength is really good. Contreras can hit. Wisdom can hit sometimes. So like, obviously I'm low on them. I think they do regress. But like, is there a world where we get some type of crazy miracle and they're contending for the division? They are the Cubs. Like, they are.
I wouldn't complain.
Yeah.
I wouldn't complain.
One other guy I think that I forgot to mention, Clint Frazier.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently he had vision problems the last 2 years, and he appears to have fixed them over the offseason, and that was what led to his downfall in New York. So hopefully, he's been ripping the ball in spring training. So I'm not saying he's going to be an MVP candidate, but like, I'm putting it out there.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I'm really curious to see what his role is going to be, because this outfield is really crowded, especially if you're going to be giving Jason Hayward lots of at-bats. So I'll be curious to see how things play out with this outfield with so many guys out there, and Brennan Davis coming up from the minors.
Yeah, I know a few things about vision problems, so hopefully he figures it out. Bullpen, I would say that's probably a weakness of this team because they kind of sold their bullpen last deadline and they didn't really address it. So if you're worried
Cody
about,
Hoyer being out will hurt.
yeah, I mean injuries. Andrelton Simmons is out. Bodie's out. Alzolay, Wade Miley. These guys are all kind of big. Like these are the guys that everyone was kind of excited about until they got injured. So are these guys going to return? They all are, right?
Miley shouldn't be out too long, I don't think.
Okay.
Same with Simmons. I just think he has like some soreness.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think this will be a fun team to watch. Anything you want to close this one out on? Say I don't know.
2022 World Champs.
Go Cubs.
The 2020, actually probably not in the 2020s, but maybe they'll win another one eventually. Yeah, all right. Let's roast the Reds real quick. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this episode, make sure to crush the like button harder than Shohei hits a baseball. We would really appreciate it. On to the next clip. All right, the next team we're going to be looking at is the Reds. Their lineup this season is Jonathan India, Tyler Naquin, Joey Votto, Tyler Stevenson, Mike Moustakas, Tommy Pham, Colin Moran, Kyle Farmer, and Nick Senzel, which is actually better than most people probably would think it would be after this offseason. But here's what happened. They lost Nick Castellanos, Michael Lorenzen, Michael Givens, Tyler Thornburg, Amir Garrett, Jesse Winker, Eugenio Suarez, and Tucker Barnhart. But they picked up Tommy Pham, Hunter Strickland, Donovan Solano, Justin Dunn, Mike Minor, Colin Moran, and Jake Fraley. So what do you guys have to say about this new look Reds team?
Feels like such a strange situation. It seemed like they had so much talent and so many guys on that team, and it felt like they were close. And then this offseason, it looks like they're just going to go into a complete rebuild and tear it all down. And obviously, it does sound like they still have a good amount of talent there, and a lot of young, fun, exciting guys to look forward to. But with the way things went this offseason, I would expect at the trade deadline for them to get rid of more of those veteran star players and keep on acquiring more young talent.
Yeah, I think we're counting down the days until Luis Castillo gets traded. Even though he's a great pitcher, but I don't think he fits into their long-term plans. Tyler Mahle is a great young guy, and Hunter Green's going to make his debut this year. Those should both be two exciting guys on what it seems to be a very bad Reds team. Hitting wise, hopefully Tyler Stevenson can continue the upward trajectory that he began last year. Really exciting catching prospect, and Jonathan India had an incredible first season in the big leagues. Hopefully he can do it again. And prospect wise, I mean, they got Brandon Williamson in the trade for Jesse Winker, and I think he's an incredible pitcher. He's going to be exciting, so exciting for this team to watch. I think this year is just going to be about which of these veteran players is going to overperform and which of them is going to bring back some sort of return at the trade deadline to a much better team.
Yeah, it sucks. The Reds were pretty close the last couple of years, so I was hoping they would really finally get back up to a good spot. But yeah, it seems like they're dumping pretty much everybody, like recently Winker and Suarez. And yeah, Castillo's bound to go anytime soon. It's really going to be a development year for guys like Jonathan India, and hopefully Nick Senzel gets back up to what we thought he was going to be a couple years ago. But I'm super excited for Hunter Green. Dude's a beast, topping out at, I think, 102. I think he's going to be one of the best rookies to watch in the MLB. But besides him, I think this pitching staff is going to be super underwhelming. Honestly, one of the worst in baseball. The bats will be somewhat fun to watch this year, but the pitching is going to be pretty brutal, I think. So I don't think the Reds are going to do anything too crazy this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this team's kind of just like they're a letdown usually. Like they came in with a lot of hype in 2020, and then in a shortened season they underperformed, and then they just gave up on a lot of that team. But then they got lucky, they get Naquin in India, and these guys are good, and like so everyone's performing well. That like even was it Farmer had like a way better year than he did, before that, and so it looked like they might compete again, and then they gave up on a lot of those guys too. Winker was crazy last year. Just gave up on him, traded him. So I just don't know. Like, maybe they're planning something. Maybe all these young guys they're trading for are actually just so good that they're going to dominate the division in the future. But I don't know where anyone would get that if that's what they're thinking. So Castillo, I'm excited to see where he goes, and they're just going to put out another not good enough season, I think, and that's just disappointing, but that's how I see the team. Let's go ahead and look at the bottom of the division, the Pirates, who might actually have something in the future. I don't know. And we're back with the Pirates. So they actually picked up Daniel Vogelbach from the Brewers and Zach Thompson from Miami, but they lost Chad Kuhl, Jacob Stallings, and Colin Moran. So not a super exciting offseason, just kind of like the rest of the division. Not too much changed other than the Cubs. But we got their starting lineup on the screen: Vogelbach, Brian Reynolds, Brian Hayes, Yoshi Susugo, Ben Gamel, Roberto Perez, Greg Allen, Diego Castillo, and Kevin Newman. Let's take a look at the rotation as well. JT Brubaker, Jose Quintana, Mitch Keller, Bryce Wilson, and Zach Thompson. I think they have a future to look forward to. If assuming the prospects like O'Neal Cruz are as good as everyone's saying. But what do you guys have to say about this team?
I do see some upside in the rotation. I like the addition of Zach Thompson, and also Mitch Keller made some velocity improvements in the offseason that obviously won't help with some of the control issues he's had in the past, but I do think it'll help it. I do think that'll help him on the mound get some more swings and misses. And yeah, like you said, it'd be nice to see Cruz at some point this season. He's been one of the more hyped up prospects lately, but at the end of the day, I don't see too much winning going on for the Pirates at all this year.
Yeah, I concur with your take on Zach Thompson. I think he's going to be an exciting guy to watch. In this lineup, Brian Reynolds was a superstar last year, and I think the two questions are: can he repeat it, and how long until the Pirates trade him for different prospects?
Exactly.
Brian Hayes is such a fun young guy to watch. It was kind of sad last year. He hurt his wrist early in the year and never really seemed to get on track offensively, but defensively, I mean, he played 60% of the innings of most major league third basemen, and he still led the league in DRS for, I think, any third baseman with at least 750 innings. So he's a great defensive player. Hopefully this year, full healthy season is going to help him get his bat on track. And then the last guy is really O'Neal Cruz. How long until, the 2 weeks that they have to wait to call up O'Neal Cruz in order to get an extra year of service time? How well is he going to do when he gets up here and he's playing for them every single day? So definitely a lot of fun young talent to watch.
Yeah, I agree with all those takes. I think the Pirates are going to be bottom feeding this division at the end of the day. I think they're down in like the class with the Orioles and Diamondbacks. I think the Pirates join that group of three. Pretty brutal teams this year, but there is some upside in the farm system. Their farm system's super deep. They might have not as many elite prospects, but they have definitely a few starters in there. So it could be good in a few years. But talking about the roster right now, the pitching's a little underwhelming, but I think Zach Thompson, I agree with these guys that he's going to make a good impact. Brian Reynolds, I'm surprised he's honestly still a Pirate. I thought they would have dished him a couple weeks ago. But yeah, he's awesome. I think he'll be a fun player to watch again. I like the Ben Gamel pickup. I think that was a nice under the radar move. But overall, yeah, this is pretty much the same old Pirates as last year. Oh, and one more player I forgot to mention, Roberto Perez is another move I like. Replacing him for Stallings with that trade was a good move.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think Brian Reynolds and Vogelbach, do you think they signed Vogelbach as trade bait until they want to bring up O'Neal Cruz to play DH? Because that's kind of what I think they're doing.
I think Vogelbach's just kind of filling the gap. I think he could be out of the league in a couple of years, to be honest. Just if he isn't hitting for power, then he could be out of here soon.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But if he hits a couple home runs, gets off to a hot start, I think they're definitely going to try their best to make something out of it. But yeah. All right. That's it for the Pirates. Let's project, because that's really what we were here to do. Let's see what we got in the NL Central. I just wanted to throw this in here. Just a quick summary as to why I really do believe in the Cardinals. So you have Hicks returning to the bullpen. So the bullpen, as a result, gets better because everybody underperformed last season. They were missing their defensive help in Bader, and so they're going to have more defensive help, and Hicks will return. So bullpen should get better. You get the two guys returning, Michaelis and Hudson, who are at least as good as Kwang Yun Kim and our fifth guy, who was just a rotation of kind of random people last season. So you pack those guys in. So the starting rotation, because Flaherty will play at least as many games as last year, even if he misses 2 months, which is not what it's currently set to be. So the rotation gets better. Lineup, now we know where our depth is. We aren't going to be playing Justin Williams for a substantial portion of the season. We know where the depth is. If an outfield guy goes down, we know Newt Barr is our guy. If an infielder goes down, we know Sosa is our guy. So we know where the depth lies, and we have more depth than last season, no doubt, already. So there's just a lot to like about the Cardinals this year that no one really talked about in our recap, so I just wanted to throw that in there. And we have a more analytical coach, so if you want to just throw that in there as well. Better defense, better roster, better lineup, better rotation, hopefully a better coach. I like the team, and I don't really see where all of these picks having us doing substantially worse. If we win a couple less games, I see that as a possibility. I don't see us missing the playoffs by more than one game, as there's no floor below that, and the Cubs won't be there. So as much as I'm kind of high on the Cubs from what most people are, the Cardinals will finish above the Cubs. That's where I derive my opinion. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Albert Pujols and Dickerson. Pujols can fill in at first base and can hit lefties really well, and I think Dickerson will be good against right-handed pitching. So just adding those bats to the lineup and even further depth with those bats, I love it. So that's the last thing. I promise I won't be interrupting anymore. All right. So here is the predictions. This is the most biased one that I have out of all of them, but I have the Cardinals winning the division by 1 game at 92-70, which is 6 games above the Vegas projection. But the Brewers, I have 1 game above the projection at 91-71, followed by the Cubs at 76-86, Reds at 72-90, and Pirates at 66-96. Before I make an argument, let's hear what they have to say about this prediction.
I don't think it really is going to be close this year. I think the Brewers run away with the division. I think there's just so much talent there, such a deeper team. They're not dealing with too many big injuries or anything right now. I think they run away with the division ahead of the second place Cardinals, followed by, I think, the Cubs finish in third this year. I think last year, just after the trade deadline, everything just spiraled way out of control. I think they do get better this year. And then I think the Reds will finish fourth, kind of end up in a spot where the Cubs were last year. I think they'll have a decent first half, but then continue to sell at the trade deadline and then kind of go down from there. And then I think the Pirates still finish at the bottom. It's probably just the least talented roster overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the bottom 2 teams of the division. As much as I like, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, I don't think that either of those 2 teams will be very competitive, and Cincinnati will lose a lot of talent before the trade deadline. As much as I want to predict a Cubs over Cardinals finish, I can't. I spent too much time looking at the roster and doing a deep dive to think that this team is going to go anywhere. I do think it's going to be a very exciting transition year, and hopefully a lot of the young guys will shine so that the next few years will be better. The Cardinals will finish second place. It's not going to be particularly close. If there was a healthy Jack Flaherty, I would understand, but you lose
Agreed.
an ace pitcher like that for 2 months, it's going to be very hard to keep on pace with a staff that has 3 tremendous arms. The lineup will be fun. I do think we're getting a new Nolan Arenado at third. I don't think you're going to see the same like 900 OPS and 130 WRC plus. I think it's going to be a lot more like 110 and 800, 850, somewhere around that range. But I do think the rest of the lineup is really good. They have a really amazing defense, and this team will definitely win, over 81 games. But the Brewers are by far the best. Incredible starting staff, incredible bullpen. The lineup just needs to be league average, and this team will easily win 88 games. And if, they get bounce back seasons from guys like Renfroe and Omar Narvaez, and Willie Adames continues his progression into an incredible shortstop, this team can be pushing 90, 95 wins easily.
All right, well, Pat and Ilias are going to like this, but I think the Cubs are going to surprise this year. I'll get to that in a little bit, though. Going bottom to top, I got the Pirates. I think the Pirates are pretty confident pick at the bottom. Don't get too much better or worse than last year. Got a couple of rookies coming up, like O'Neal Cruz, and hopefully we'll see more of Brian Hayes. But I think the war is going to even out with Brian Reynolds eventually leaving. So I think they're going to have a pretty similar record to last year, maybe a few more wins. And then I got the Reds next up. I think they're going to be dumping even more at the deadline. Luis Castillo will be gone soon. So both these teams could easily be in the 60s as far as wins go. Not too much going on with the Reds roster, looking much weaker than last year. And in third place, I got the Cardinals. They didn't get too much better or worse as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not feeling the Cardinals this year. I think they're bound to they're an injury prone team right now. And then I got the Cubs in second. I think they're gonna surprise. I think the Cubs and Cardinals are gonna be very close though. Maybe both around like 78, 79 wins. I think the Cubs will be buying at the deadline. I think Seiya Suzuki is gonna go off this year. And yeah, I'm gonna be following them because I think they're a fun team to watch. But overall, I got the Brewers on top like last year. That Brewers team last year surprised me a lot. I did not think they had as much star power as they ended up having with like Willie Adames and Avisail Garcia, but obviously he's gone now. But was replaced with Hunter Renfroe, who I really, really like. I think this team is winning 95 plus, probably around 97, 98. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, they're walking away with the NL Central again.
I think that's bold. Like, I think both the 95 plus in a team where I don't think they got better. I think the Cardinals have no doubt a floor of second because of the defense in the lineup, and the bullpen cannot possibly walk as many people as they did last year. It's not even possible. And then you go, Carlson should improve because he's young and he's really fixing everything up. He's a switch hitter. I don't see where the downsides would be. You go to O'Neal, as long as he puts up a semblance of what he did last year, really good. Goldschmidt, Arenado. You go to Edman, toward the back end of the season, figured out how to be just slightly above league average, like getting on base, and then actually way above league average at getting on base, but slightly above league average as a hitter, and he also steals bases. So if you just go down the lineup, like, I just think the team is super capable, full of gold gloves. When you have that, guys like Matz get way better. Hudson gets way better. That is the scenario that I'm playing out here that has me really actually believing that they have a real shot at the division. And I don't know how I could possibly see them in third. But any counter argument to that?
Kind of hard for the defense to matter to Matz when he's giving up homers. Can't put guys in the bleachers.
This is fair, right? But I mean, that's the only way the defense doesn't matter. Yeah, I guess that's it for this one. We've gone past 30 minutes. We'll we'll have to see, because I actually really do believe in the Cardinals. And I have a lot of, anti-Cardinals people right here, but I believe in them, so we'll see. We'll see if they can win the division. But thank you guys for watching. Check out the other M-SABR previews in the description, and read some articles on these teams. I wrote one on the Cardinals, so you're going to get the same bias there as you did here, but there's some really good articles on the other teams in the division as well.
I wrote the Cubs one, so check that out.
Oh yeah, he went real in depth, so yeah. Yeah, see you guys next time.